Good day, everyone. I am Mariel Alaban from Bachelor of Elementary Education, major in General Curriculum, and I am a fourth-year student. So today we will be talking about educational technology. So what is educational technology? When we say educational technology, it combines hardware, software, and educational theories to facilitate learning. It is important because it improves the quality of studying and facilitates skills and knowledge acquisition for our students. So, educational technology also helps teachers integrate new technologies and tools into the classroom. It also gives students easy access information, accelerates learning, and provides opportunities to practice what they learn, which helps them gain essential 21st century skills. So, moreover, it enables individualized learning, allowing students to work at their own pace and master subjects more effectively. So, effective teaching strategies are vital for modern classrooms like we had today. We will focus on technology's role in enhancing learning experiences, inclusivity for all learners, especially to our indigenous groups, is a key consideration. This exploration will equip us with tools for diverse and engaging educational environments. So for our first learning competency, we have employ teaching strategies, methods, instructional materials, and technology. Classroom management techniques appropriate to subject areas and inclusive of learners from indigenous groups. So the first topic that we will be discussing is all about integrating technology in teaching. So when we integrate technology in our teaching, it will enhance learning. Integrate technology for better experiences. Another one is we will be using virtual reality, enhancing experiential learning, and computer managed instruction, which is organized instruction tracks record. So the key principles in modern teaching is integrating technology to enhance learning experiences and prepare students for a digital world. For virtual reality offers immersive experiential learning opportunities that can significantly deepen understanding and engagement. Computer managed instruction is essential in distance education for organizing instruction and accurately tracking students' progress and records. Effectively, technology integration also allows for personalized learning experiences tailored to individualized learning for our students who need space and their own learning. This multifaceted approach ensures that education remains relevant, accessible, and impactful in 21st century. So that is the first topic. And the second one we have classroom management and inclusivity while integrating technology. We have inclusive environment. In inclusive environment, we create a learning space for all. And the second one is classroom management. We need to have a clear rules for technology use and culturally relevant use technology that reflects diverse cultures. So when we say classroom management techniques, it aims to establish inclusive learning environment where every student feels valued and respected. Setting explicit rules for technology use is essential to ensure responsible and focused engagement. On the other hand, to cater to diverse learners, especially from indigenous groups, integrating culturally relevant technologies is a paramount. Such technologies should reflect their heritage, experiences, and perspectives. So in this way, we can foster a sense of belonging and engagement. This approach not only reaches the learning experience but also promotes equality and cultural understanding with our classroom. So the next one is instructional materials and diverse learners. So diverse learners, they need to adapt materials to meet different learning styles. So as a teacher, we need to adapt materials that will meet the individual needs of our students. Next is we have the cultural awareness. Create digital content that reflect their culture. So we need to make our lesson that will reflect to their culture. And we have equal access. Provide devices for students who need them. So we need to provide equal devices for our students. So teachers must adapt instructional materials to accommodate diverse learning styles, ensuring they are appropriate for all learners. For classrooms including students from indigenous groups, creating digital content that reflect their culture fosters inclusivity and promotes cultural awareness. We need also to provide necessary devices to ensure that our students have an equal access to educational technology and resources. This promotes a level playing field, allowing every student to fully participate in technology-enhanced learning by tailoring content and providing resources. Educators create an inclusive environment that supports the academic success of all our students. So as a teacher, it is our duties and responsibilities to provide them the better education and the good learning. The next one is we have implementing and evaluating technology. Learning objectives, we need to ensure that our learning objective ensures that it will align with our goals. Effectiveness, analyze how technology enhances students' engagement and learning outcomes. We need to make sure that our activities will make our students engage and we will be getting the learning outcomes. Next is language learning. We have to provide access to language learning apps because we have students that cannot understand our language. So as a teacher, it is our responsibility to feel them that they are accept and they are valued during our class. So when designing our lesson plans, so as a teacher, we need to make a lesson plans, ensure that technology aligns directly with our learning objectives to create a focused and purposeful learning experience. Evaluate the effectiveness of technology integration by assessing how it enhances students' engagement, comprehension, and overall learning outcomes. So, we need to prioritize accessibility and inclusivity by selecting technologies that cater to diverse learning needs and styles with our students inside the classroom. So we need also to integrate language learning apps and platforms to provide students with interactive and immersive opportunity for language acquisition. So regularly, we need to reflect on and refine our technology integration strategies based on student feedback and performance data to optimize the learning process. So after your technology integration, at the end, you need to have a technology integration feedback. So if there is need to refine or revise, you need to revise it so that it will align with our students' engagement and it will also aligns with our technology, aligns with our learning objectives. Next is we have culturally responsive teaching assessment. So culturally responsive, we need to incorporate traditional knowledge into digital content. Next is evaluation. We need to assess how technology reflects diverse culture. And then at the end, we need to have an assessment. Design and implement technology-enhanced lesson plans that incorporate indigenous knowledge. So integrating traditional knowledge into digital content is crucial to support learners from indigenous groups. So we need to ensure that our curriculum resonates with their cultural background. Then we need to evaluate educational technology if it is essential to assess how well it reflects diverse cultures and perspectives. We need to promote inclusivity during the teaching and learning process. Technology should respect and present a variety of cultural viewpoints to avoid biases. For assessment, design technology-enhanced lesson plans that thoughtfully incorporate indigenous knowledge, creating a more engaging and relevant learning experiences with our students. By weaving traditional knowledge into the digital space, we enrich education and foster a deeper understanding of diverse cultures among of our students. So next is we have addressing challenges and ensuring inclusivity. Participation, modify discussion formats to be inclusive. So during your teaching and learning process, we need to make sure that our discussion is inclusive. So we need to make them feel valued and respected. Next is inclusivity. Promote understanding, respect, and appreciation for diverse cultures. So we need to respect what is their culture and what is your culture. We need to make it more inclusive during the teaching and learning process. Next is we have virtual reality. Select experiences that accurately represent indigenous perspective. As what I have said earlier, we need to make activities or assessment that will reflect or present their indigenous perspective to avoid biases. So technical support. So there are some indigenous group that they are not into technology, so we need to introduce them the technology in a good way. So next we have, yes, what I to encourage participation in online discussion, modify formats to be more inclusive and address any hesitancy. Ensure that technology promotes understanding, respect, and appreciation for diverse culture in the classroom. So when incorporating virtual reality, we need to carefully select experiences that accurately represent indigenous perspective and histories. It is crucial to provide comprehensive technical support to bridge the digital divide and ensure equitable access. So by implementing these strategies, educators can create a more engaging and inclusive technology-enhanced learning environment for all of our students. So all in learning competency 1, integrating technology into education refers to opportunities to enhance learning experiences, promote inclusivity, and prepare students for a digital world. So success is thoughtfully implementation that aligns technology with learning objectives, incorporates diverse cultural perspectives, and provides equitable access and support for our learners, especially with our indigenous groups learners. So by prioritizing culturally responsive teaching, adapting instructional materials, and regularly evaluating technologies, impact educators can create engaging and inclusive environments that fosters understanding, respect, and academic success. So, addressing challenges such as the digital divide and hesitancy to participate ensure that technology serves as a power, powerful tool for equitable and effective education. Ultimately, a balanced approach to technology integration grounded in inclusivity and cultural responsiveness will empower students to thrive in the 21st century skills. So the second learning competency under educational technology is demonstrate skills in developing and using a variety of conventional and non-conventional resources, including information and communication technology, to address learning goals and needs of various learners. So in today's educational landscape, teachers must be adept and leveraging a diverse toolkit to reach every learner. This session will explore learning competency 33.2 focusing on the essential skills needed to develop and utilize both conventional and non-conventional resources. So this will include the powerful tools of information communication technology or ICT. So we'll be delve into how to effectively tailor these resources to address specific learning goals and cater to the unique needs of all our students, ensuring a rich and engaging learning experiences. So what is educational technology? So according to the study, educational technology is the field of study that investigates the process of analyzing, designing, developing, and implementing and evaluating the instructional environment, learning materials, learners, and the learning process in order to improve teaching and learning. So, all, on the other hand, educational technology, abbreviated as edutech or edtech, refers to a use of computer, hardware, software, and educational theory. So it involves introducing information and communication technology tools into the classroom to create more engaging and inclusive and individualized learning experiences. So let's talk about the conventional resources. So the first column or box is the types. The second column is the advantages, limitation, and the utilization. So the first one is text print or for example the books, periodicals or the modules. So the advantages of this is readily available printed materials are readily available in a range of topics and formats. Flexible, printed material also may be used in any lighted environment. They are portable. It is also economical. Text can be used again and again. Text can be used again and again by many students. So what are the limitations of text or print? So we have reading level of learners. Many students are non-readers or proofreaders. Then we have memorization. Some critics textbooks promote memorization rather than higher level thinking skills or the HATS question. And then it is also passive. Other content that text promotes solitarily learning rather than cooperative group process. So, how are we going to utilize it? So, direct students reading with objectives and or questions. Next is we need to emphasize the use of visual with text-based materials. Next is check the teacher's guide for additional materials and activities. Next is supplement text with other media. The next type is still visuals. So the advantages is realistic format. Visual provide a presentation of verbal information, and then the limitation is the size. Of course, some visuals are simply too small to use with a large group, and enlarging can be expensive. Next is use simple materials that everyone can use. So still under the visual, we have the printed visual or the pictures, graphics, organizers, and etc. So, advantages, readily available and expensive. Visuals are readily available in books, magazines, newspaper, catalogs, and calendars. So, for its limitation, two-dimensional visuals lack the three-dimensional of the real objects or scene. Next is lack of motions. Visuals are static and cannot show emotion. So how are we going to utilize it? So we need to provide written or verbal cues to highlight important aspect of the visuals. And we need to use one visual at a time. Except for comparison. So we need to use one visual at a time. Hold visual steady. So if you are holding your visuals, you need to hold it steady. Next is we have displayed visual like chalkboard, bulletin board, or etc. So the disadvantages, multi-purpose. Both students and teachers can use display boards for variety of purposes. Next is colorful. Display boards provide color and add interest to classroom or hallways. The third one is participation. Students can benefit from designing and benefit by designing and using display boards. We have the limitation, commonplace. Instructors often neglect to give display boards the attention and respect that they deserve as instructional devices. Not portable. Most display boards are not movable because they are placed in the wall. Next is utilization. Check the visibility of the board from several positions around the room. Decide in advance how you can plan to use the board. Next is print using upper and lower case, not all caps lock in script. Next is face your audience. Do not talk to the board with your back to the class. So you need to face your classmates instead of facing backward. So the next one is projected visuals like overhead projectors, overhead transparent LCD, DLP, and projectors. So instructor control. The presenter can manipulate projected materials on the OHP or overhead projector by applying different techniques, pointing to important items or covering part. So, instructor dependent. The overhead projectors cannot be programmed to display information by itself. So, the overhead system does not lend itself independent study the projection system. So, you need to focus on its image so it fills the screen. Turn off lights over the screen if possible and stand facing your class. Next, we have the real objects and models. Less abstract or more concrete, real objects and models provide hands-on learning experiences and emphasize real-world application. So, we have readily available materials. Materials are readily available in the environment around school and in the home. Attract students' attention. Students respond positively to both real objects and their models. So for our limitation, storage. Large objects can be pose specially problems. Caring Caring for living materials such as plants and animals can take a lot of time. Possible damage. Of course, you will carry it all the time, so there is a possibility that it will be or it will have a damage. Materials are often complex and fragile, so parts may be lost or broken. Next is you need to familiarize yourself with the object and model when you are going to utilize it. Make sure objects are large enough to be seen. Indicate actual size, shape, and color of objects presented by the model. You need to also avoid the single object around class. It can be distracting and students may play with it while you are trying to move it in the lesson. So the last one is students and teacher preparation. Students and teachers can record their own tapes easily and economically. They erase it by using audio technologies. We have also fixed sequence. Audio tapes fix the sequence of a presentation even though it is possible to rewind or advance the tape. Make sure that all the students involved can hear and that the students aren't distracted. So we have also audio cassettes or tapes, recorders or players. Familiarity. Most students and teachers have been using audio cassette recorders. So verbal messages, students who cannot read can learn from audio media. So there are auditory learners. Stimulating. Audio media can provide a stimulating alternative to reading and listening to the teacher. What is the disadvantages? Pacing. Presentation information at the appropriate pace can be difficult for students with a range of skills and background experiences. So accidental erasure. Just as audio tapes can be quickly and easily erased when no longer needed, they can be accidentally erased when they should be saved. Next is use a handout or worksheet to maximize learning from audio media. Use a follow-up activity after each audio lesson. So the CD. Locating selections. Students and teachers can quickly locate selection of CDs and can program machines to play any desired sequence. So, resistance to damage. Stains can be washed off and ordinary scratches do not affect playback. Next is we have the limited recording capability. Students and teachers cannot produce their own CDs as cheaply and easily as they can in cassettes. And the last one is audio-visual motion. Pictures or media like television, video, or film. So motion, moving image can effectively represent procedures in which motion is essential. So real-life videos allows. Then, fixed space. Videotape programs run out of fixed space. Scheduling. Teachers normally must order. So how are you going to utilize it? Check lighting, setting, and volume control to be sure that everyone can hear. So the next one is design focuses on planning and structuring. So we have the first one, design. Design is the procedure of creating conditions for learning with the purpose of specifying products such as lessons or modules and strategies at the macro level. So design focuses on planning and structuring of learning experiences, including identifying objectives and selecting appropriate strategies. So development, translate the design specification into an actual form including its subcategories that reflect some chronological changes in educational technology. So development involves the actual creation of the instructional materials and resources, such as multimedia content or software application. We have the utilization. It is the act of using resources and process for education. So utilization, so we have the ADDIE model. So what is ADDIE model? So A stands for analysis, D stands for design, D stands for development, and I stands for implementation, and E stands for evaluation. So ADDIE model is widely used instructional design framework that provide a systematic approach to creating effective learning experiences. It consists of 5 distinct phases. We have the analysis where the learning needs, goals, and learner characteristics are identified. The next one we have the design where learning objectives, content structures, and assessment strategies are determined. The third one we have the D, which is the development where the actual instructional materials and resources are created. The implementation where the design instruction is delivered to learners. And the last one, we have the evaluation, where the effectiveness of the instruction is assessed and feedback is gathered for improvement. So this interactive process allows for continuous refinement and ensure that the final learning product meets the intended goals and learner needs. So that is the ADDIE model, which is the analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation. So next one is we have realia. So what is realia? Real objects that provide concrete learning, concrete manipulative for students to handle while listening to the read aloud. Realia also create a total physical responses that help students recall ideas and themes from the text in the later discussion. So realia are real-world objects that provide a concrete learning experiences. They engage students through direct sensory interaction. So we have the second one, the computer. Computer facilitates audio-visual representation of information, thus making the process of learning interactive and interesting. So computers offer access to digital resources and interactive learning. They facilitate personalized learning and digital literacy. Both realia and computers enhance learning when used appropriately. So as a teacher, we need to introduce it to our students before they use it to avoid misuse of the realia and the computer. So the next one, we have the split attention. So what is split attention? States that when designing instruction, including multimedia instruction, it is important to avoid formats that require learners to split their attention between and mentally integrate multiple sources of information. So when we say split attention, refers to a cognitive phenomenon where learners struggles to process information from multiple physically separated sources simultaneously. So this often occurs when text and related graphics are presented in different locations on a screen or on a page. The learner cognitive resources are divided, so it will hinder effective comprehension. This can result in increased cognitive load and decreased learning efficiency. To mitigate split attention, we need to integrate related information such as placing text directly within or adjacent to graphics. These allow learners to process the material as a unified whole, improving understanding and retention. So we also have the spatial contiguity. So spatial contiguity, where students learn better when responding words and pictures are presented simultaneously rather than successively. Spatial contiguity is a principle of multimedia learning that emphasizes the importance of placing related words and graphics close together on a screen or page. This proximity reduces the cognitive load on learners by minimizing the needs to mental integrate separated pieces of mental information. It also allows for a more seamless processing of the materials, as the brain can more easily connect the visual and verbal element. When related information is spatially contiguous, learner can focus on understanding the content rather than expending cognitive effort to bridge the gaps between separated elements. This contributes to improved learning outcomes and more efficient learning experiences. So the next one is the principles in selection and utilization of educational technologies. So the first one is meaningfulness. They should contain purposive activities and must contribute to the growth and development of the learners. So purpose, they must be focused on helping learners to motivate them in the learning process. The next one, we have the appropriateness must be appropriate to the level intended in terms of, we have the vocabulary level, difficulty of concepts, methods of development, and interest. So, selecting educational technology requires careful consideration of several principles to ensure effective learning. We have the meaningfulness and the purpose dictate that technology should align with the learning objectives and connect to real-world application. So appropriateness, breathe, breathe is they could encompass all around the development of varying of learners. So, appropriateness and breadth and usefulness ensure that the technology fits the learner's needs, covers relevant content comprehensively, and serves as a practical function. So, we have the communication effectiveness. They must relay information clearly and effectively. Communication effectiveness, authenticity, and responses, clear information delivery, real-world relevance, and adaptability to diverse learners. So the seventh one is the authenticity. They must present up-to-date, dependable information. So the number 8, responsiveness. They must be responsive to the needs and demands of the society. So number 9, interest. They should catch the interest of the users, stimulate curiosity of satisfying the needs to know, and encourage creativity and imaginative response among users or our students. The Number 10, cost effectiveness. The cost per students of media presentation diminishes as the number of students using it increases. So number 11, presentation. They must be presented in the right time and the right way. Number 12, portability or handy. They must be handy for the teachers and students to handle it well. So we have the correctness. Correct facts or information must be in the material for a better learning process. The next one is simplicity. They must be simple but inspiring for the learners and should not confuse them. They must be simple but show creativity. So the last one we have to assess or the assessment. The purpose of evaluating the technology is needed for further revisions and improvement. So in the assessment, this is when we know if it is effective or not. So you will advise to revise or continue your technology strategies. So we have the Cone of Learning by Edgar Dale. So in the bottom part, we have doing a dramatic presentation, stimulating the real experiences or doing the real thing. 90% of what we say and do. So the second one in the second bottom part, we have the participating in a discussion, giving a task. So 70% of what we say. So the third one, we have the watching a movie, looking at an exhibit, watching a demonstration, seeing it done on a location. We have 50% of what we see and hear. We have seeing 30% of what we see, hearing words 20% of what we hear, reading 10% of what we read. So after 2 weeks, we tend to remember this one. So I see and I forget. I hear and I remember. I do and I understand according to Confucius. So the Dale's cone of experience is a visual model that illustrates a hierarchy of learning experiences, ranging from concrete to abstract. At the base, direct purposeful experiences involves hands-on real-life activities, offering the most concrete learning. As you move up to the cone, experiences becomes increasingly abstract, transitioning from contrived experiences. So simulations to dramatic participation, role-playing or demonstrations, field trips or exhibits, motion pictures, radio recordings, visual symbols, and finally verbal symbols, or the reading or the listening skills. The code suggests that the more concrete the experience, the better the learning and retention. However, abstract experiences are also valuable for developing higher order thinking skills. So the model emphasizes the importance of using a variety experiences to cater to different learning styles and enhances understanding of our students. It serves as a guide for educators to select appropriate instructional materials and activities, aiming for a balance between concrete and abstract learning. We have the 10 commandments in creating learning presentation materials. The first one, don't overcrowd. Be consistent in format, layout, and conventions. The third one, we have use appropriate typefaces and point uses. Use bold and italics for emphasis, but don't overuse them. The next one is use titles, headings, and subheadings to clarify and guide. We have used numbers to directly through sequence. The next one is we need to use graphics and illustrate to reinforce ideas. Use symbols and icons as identifying markers. Use color, audio, music to stimulate but not to overpower. Produce the materials with technical excellence, good quality, and clear. So be consistent in format, layout, and conventions in the second commandment. Is a crucial commandment for creating effective presentation materials. So consistency provides a sense of visual unity, making your presentation appear professional and organized by maintaining a uniform format, such as using the same font, size, and style throughout your slides. You eliminate distractions and allow the audience to focus on the content. A consistent layout, including the placement of titles, images, and bullet points, creates a predictable flow, improving comprehension. Furthermore, adhering to established conventions, such as using standard symbols, abbreviation, and color palettes, ensures clarity and avoid confusion of your students. This consistency not only enhances the aesthetic appeal of your presentation, but also strengthens its communicative power, ensuring your images is delivered effectively. So those are the 10 commandments in creating your learning, presentation, or the materials. So we have the multimedia encyclopedia. Is defined as any application that combines text with graphics, animation, audio, video, and virtual reality. So when we say multimedia encyclopedia, it's a digital reference work that integrates various forms of media, such as text, images, audio, and video to provide comprehensive information on a wide range of topics. So unlike traditional printed encyclopedias that we see in the libraries, multimedia versions leverage technology to offer interactive and engaging learning. Users can explore objects throughout dynamic visuals, listen to radio pronunciations, and watch video clips that enhance understanding. These encyclopedias often include search functionalities, hyperlinks, and interactive maps, making it easy to navigate and discover related content. They are designed to cater to diverse learning styles and provide a more immersive and accessible way to acquire knowledge. The use of multimedia elements enriches the learning process, making it more stimulating and effective compared to the text-only resources. So it is more engaging if you will use multimedia encyclopedia compared to traditional one. So we have the asynchronous tools. Allows online participants to communicate with one another within a window of time. Interaction aren't confined to instant responses, and discussions can be assessed at time, most convenient for both instructors and students. Asynchronous tools in education allows for learning and communication that doesn't require real-time interaction. These tools enable students and instructors to engage with course materials and each other at their own pace and convenience. So asynchronous tools in education allows learning and communication doesn't require real-time experiences. For example, include discussion forums, email, pre-recorded video lectures, and online documents repositories. This flexible is particularly beneficial for students with diverse schedules or those in different time zones, promoting accessibility and inclusivity. So, asynchronous tools foster throughout reflection and deeper engagement with content, as learners have time to process information before responding. They also create a lasting record of interaction and resources, which can be reviewed and revisited as needed. enhancing learning retention and providing a flexible learning environment. So that is the asynchronous tools. So the next one, we have the computer teleconferencing. So what is computer teleconferencing? So when we say computer teleconferencing, refers to an approach to distance teaching using a computer or computers to assist in the presentation of teaching materials or to assistant learners to work throughout or through an already prepared learning program. The term computer conferencing has the following meanings. So the first one is teleconferencing supported by one or more computers. The second one is an arrangement in which access by multiple users to a common database is mediated by a controlling computer. So the third one, we have the interconnection or two or more computers working in a distributed manner on a common application process. Instant messaging and chat system are multicasting approaches for the computer teleconferencing. So when we say computer teleconferencing, also known as video conferencing or web conferencing, is a technology that allows individuals and groups to communicate in real time over a network, typically in internet. It enables participants to see and hear each other, share documents, and collaborate on projects regardless of their physical location. This technology utilizes software and hardware such as webcams, microphones, speakers to transmit audio and video signals. It facilitates remote meetings, online classes, webinars, and virtual conferences. Bridging geographical distance, modern teleconferencing platforms often include features like screen sharing, chat functions, and recording capabilities, enhancing collaboration and communication. It has become essential for remote work, distance learning, and global collaboration, significantly reducing the need for physical travel. So that is computer teleconferencing. So the next one, we have the scavenger. Scavenger hunt is a game in which organizers prepare a list defining specific things. There is a two which the participants seek to gather or complete all items on the list, usually without purchasing them. So, scavenger hunt in an educational context is an interactive learning activity designed to engage participants in a quest or for information or specific items. It often involves a list of clues or questions that guide learners to find answers or objects within a designated environment, whether physical or digital. So this approach encourages active learning, problem solving, and critical thinking as participants decipher clues and navigate through the hunt. Scavenger hunts can be tailored to various subjects and learning objectives, promoting collaboration, discovery, exploration. They foster collaboration and teamwork when conducted in groups, making learning both fun and effective. So the second one, we have the web quest. Is an inquiry-oriented activity in which most or all of the information used by the learners is drawn from the web. Web quests are designed to use learners' time well, to focus on using information rather on looking for it, and to support learners' thinking at the levels of analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. So WebQuest is an inquiry-oriented educational activity in which most of all the information that learners use comes from resources on the World Wide Web or the WW. Designed to promote higher-order thinking skills such as analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. WebQuest typically involves students working in groups to complete a specific task or solve a problem. They follow a structured format that includes an introduction, task, process, resources, evaluation, and, of course, the conclusion, guiding students through a focused learning experiences. By leveraging the vast resources of the Internet, WebQuest encourages students to become active learning, develop research skills, and collaborative effectively. They offer a dynamic and engaging way to explore complex topics and apply knowledge in real-world contexts. The next one, we have the Gagne's 9 events of instruction. The first one, we have the gaining the attention of the students. First, gaining the attention of the students, engage learners and set the stage for learning. The second one is informing the learner of the objective. Informing the learners of the objective clarifies expectation and provide a roadmap. The third one is stimulating recall or prior learning. Stimulating recall or prior learning activities, relevant knowledge, and build connection. The fourth one is presenting the content. Presenting the content delivers new information in a clear and organized manner. The fifth one, providing learning guidance. Providing learning guidance offers support and example to aid understanding. The sixth one, eliciting the performance. Eliciting performance allows learners to participate and apply their knowledge. Number 7, providing feedback. Providing feedback reinforces correct responses and corrects errors. So the eighth one, assessing the performance. Assessing performance evaluates learning outcomes and determines mastery. Finally, the 9, enhancing retention and transfer. Enhancing retention and transfer help learners apply their knowledge in new contexts, ensuring long-term learning and practical applications. These steps, when implemented thoughtfully, create a structured and effective learning environment throughout your teaching and learning process. We have the 5 levels of technology integration. The first one, we have the entry. The second one, the adoption. The third one, the adoption, infusion, and then transform. The 5 levels of technology integration in instruction represent a progression from basic use to transformative application. Entry is the initial stage where the teachers and students begin to use technology as a substitute for traditional tools like using a word processor instead of handwriting. Adoption, the ADOPTION, sees technology used to enhance existing practices such as using presentation software for lectures without fundamentally changing the teaching method. The adoption, ADAPTATION, involves modifying teaching strategies to incorporate technology, allowing for more interactive and engaging activities that go beyond simple substitution. The fourth one, we have the infusion, integrates technology seamlessly into the curriculum, making it an essential part of learning, where students use technology to solve complex problems and elaborate effectively. The next one, or the last one, transform. Transformation occurs when technology enables entirely new learning experiences fostering creativity, critical thinking, and personalized learning in ways that were previously impossible, leading to a fundamental shift in educational practices. So so all in all, in today's dynamic educational landscape, teachers must be adept at leveraging a diverse toolkit to reach every learner. This session has explored Learning Competency 3.2, focusing on the essential skills needed to develop and utilize both conventional and non-conventional resources, including the powerful tool of information and communication technology. We've delved into how to effectively tailor these resources to address specific learning goals and cater to the unique needs of all the students, ensuring rich and engaging learning experiences. To achieve this, we emphasize the importance of a structured approach as simplified by the ADDIE model. This framework encompassing analysis, design, develop, implementation, and evaluation provides a systematic way to create effective learning experiences. Within this process, we highlight the five domains of educational technology: design, development, utilization, management, and evaluation. These domains ensure that our instructional strategies are well planned, effectively executed, and continuously improved. We've also examined the practical application of diverse resources, constructing or contrasting the concrete experiences provided by Realia with the digital capabilities of computers, both when used appropriately enhance learning by engaging students through sensory interaction and personalized digital experiences. Furthermore, we address cognitive principles like split attention and spatial contiguity, emphasizing the importance of strategically placing information to minimize cognitive load and maximize comprehension. By understanding and applying these principles, teachers can effectively navigate the complexities of modern education, creating inclusive and impactful learning environment for all students. So that's all for educational technology.